Hello everyone, my name is Sara Ateif, and today I will show you how we can go from idea to impact using Gemini and AI Studio. So first things first, I'm Sara Ateif and I am a Google developer expert in machine learning and also a Google PhD fellow doing my PhD at NCS, it's a Moroccan university, around AI applied to health. So one of the things that I especially hear a lot from people who don't usually use their creativity much is that they struggle to find ideas, good ideas, perhaps to start their own business or sometimes to, kind of like enhance like the features of their applications or enhance whatever they're working on. And the thing is, you might wonder as you go from where do all these amazing businesses, especially the successful ones or what they call these days unicorns, come up with all these amazing ideas, and make them work. So one of the simplest ways to figure it out is actually just to go about our everyday life and note whatever we complain about. Let's say, for example, you got into the shower isn't working, or you wanted to use shampoo but it wasn't pumping the right way or something. That's a problem you might want to note down somewhere, because you never know, you might actually come up with a solution that might solve that problem that you have. And if you're lucky enough, other people might have the same problem and you might be invited to solve it for them as well. And here you go, you can build your own business or perhaps come up with a creative idea that can help your company or wherever you're working at. One. So, but how do you actually, let's say, for example, we don't want exactly to leverage, our everyday problems, but we want to kind of like mine the data that we have these days. Because obviously, especially with social media and with the internet overall, we're creating ideas almost everywhere, every day, right? Because after all, we're sharing everything on the net these days, like practically everything. People are even sharing what they're eating, what they're doing for their day-to-day activities. So how can we leverage all of this wealth of the data and use it to our own advantage? So one of the best ways, at least the ones I know of, are like very well used in the business world, is like things like Reddit. So most people, especially the ones that are just starting their startup or small business, mostly go actually mine Reddit. Like they go see what are people at Reddit talking about in a certain, section. Let's say, for example, we're from the IT industry. I would go to the IT section and or thread and then see what people are complaining about. So most of ideas actually, or most businesses, the principle of business is to solve a problem or to create a new need. Let's talk about solving a problem, because this is like the most common. Coming up with a new need is not always so easy to do. But when you're solving obviously a problem, you need to figure out what other people are suffering from. And the key here is not to find that one problem, but actually to find that recurrent problem that keeps popping up every time. And you can do this not only through Reddit, but also through Quora, for example, Stack Overflow, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, any kind of platform you can think of, TikTok, anywhere where people are actually, you know, writing something, sharing their opinions or sharing whatever it is that they're sharing. That's the best place to go search for ideas. And it's also one of the most leveraged ways of actually validating an idea, if you have one, for a startup or anything that you might want to build. So this is actually what we call, you can think of it like an updated version of market research. So people previously, what they did was that, let's say, for example, I figured out a problem let's say everyone struggles to get started at programming, I would go, for example, to, I don't know, like schools, and then do a survey, ask, the students what they struggle with, how they struggle with this programming, how do they see the solution being, and all of that. But right now you can do all of this just from the comfy share of your home and by leveraging social media. So this has another name as well, especially if you're doing content creation or if you're doing brand building, which obviously is like one of the building blocks of businesses these days. You should leverage all of these informations as well to do what we call social listening. That is like listening to what is happening out there so you can adapt to the market or to the, to the human beings living in this era, perhaps in the next ones as well. But is there any way to do this faster, especially with AI coming up and all of that? I mean, these days we're trying to accelerate almost everything. So, yeah, Gemini can help us do that. So, before we get into how Gemini can help us do that, let's figure out what is Gemini. So, Gemini is like Google's latest large language model, and it's equipped with multimodal capabilities. What does that mean? Well, simply, it means that it can reason across text, images, video, audio, and code. What's the difference between Gemini and all the other generative AI models out there? It's that this one, on top of handling more than one modality, that is like images, video, audio, code, and text, it can actually reason across all of them seamlessly. That is, like usually we humans, before taking a decision, we always have a set of things we go through. Let's say, for example, I want to choose if I want to do engineering or if I want to do, I don't know, being like a medical worker. I would like, for example, do pros and cons of both of these measures and see obviously my interests where they lie. So this is a reasoning. This is what we call reasoning. It's going through what we have to make a decision, going through the data you have from other people's experiences, from your own experiences, so we can actually come up with a decision. And that is come up with what we want to do. So practically, we actually do decision making almost every second. Now, what type of forms do Gemini comes in? So it comes in three sizes. There is the Ultra, there's the Pro, and there's the Nano. So Ultra, you can think of it as a very highly capable version of Gemini, the model, the AI model, that can handle extremely highly complex tasks and data sets. And it's usually developed for enterprises, the ones that can actually have multiple servers and can actually leverage all of its capabilities based on data, computational resources, and even the needs, because not everyone needs a Hercules sword to kill a fly, right? That will be exaggerating. A fly, at most you might need your hand. At worst, you might need a bat, not a sword. So for Pro, for example, that is like in the middle, that is like the closest to Ultra you can find and the most easily leverageable for people who don't have that huge amount of data to leverage or the huge amount of computational resources. So this is like the model that almost everyone uses. So it's the best model for scaling across a wide range of tasks, especially like if you have a laptop, if you're using cloud resources. This is a really very model friendly approach for AI, for generative AI. Now, if you're deploying on devices that is like small, let's say, for example, smartwatches or, iWatches or phones or drones, anything that is small enough, you actually need a model that is efficient, small, and can do approximately all the things that the other two big models can do, but in a lightweight fashion. That is, requiring less resources, less data, less computational resources, almost less everything. So if you need something like that, Nano is the perfect fit for that. Although there is a model called Gemma that is, I believe, also useful, although I think it is mostly used for phones, but I believe it can also use like in, like instead of the Nano version. But obviously, if you have something small enough, it's better to use Nano. Now, let's talk in, and let's go see what we can do using Google AI Studio. So this is Google AI Studio. I'm just going to click on this, share this tab so you can see what's happening. And as you can see, when you click on that link, which is Google AI Studio, when we visit it, what you can find is that we have something like get API key, we have create new prompt, and in create new prompt, we have 3 different forms. So there is the chat prompt. The chat prompt is this one, the one that you see here. It's the one that, thanks to Gemini 1.5 Pro, the latest, we can upload a file, let's say, for example, a PDF file, an audio, or video or image, and then give it to the model for analysis, or obviously anything we might want to do with that data. Remember that this model, the Gemini 1.5 Pro, actually takes in more than 1 million token, in comparison with the other version that takes in approximately only 30,000, which isn't really much, especially if you have a PDF that can take, that has 500 pages, or a video of 1 hour and 2 hours and more. So this is like the first version, and this one is like the most, at least this is my favorite version, because you can do whatever you want with it. But now let's say, for example, you want to develop something like, I don't know, like ChatGPT or the Gemini UI version, the ones that we use usually. Let me just show it to you, the gemini.google.com, this one. So if you want to develop something like this, what we would be using is actually the free form prompt, the free form prompt. So free form prompt, it does handle all of the other stuff that we were talking about, thanks to Gemini 1.5 Pro. The only difference is that this one is freeform. So it's like you can do whatever you want with it. It's not exactly a chat. There's no need for you to interact with it. So you don't interact with it. You actually tell it what you want it to do. So for example, here, as you can see, this example, identify the place where this photo was taken and give a brief description of the city. So this is like one-way prompt, right? So we ask it what to do, and then it will do that task all over and all over, all over and all over. But if we want something like back and forth, where we can change files and then, change requests, it is best to use the chat prompt version. Now let's look at the structured prompt. Okay, remember to save, like when you're doing changes, if you want to keep whatever you're working on, always save it. Now for this version here, this is actually what I like to think of as the fine-tuning version. So for example, if you want to train the AI, the Gemini, to learn something specific for you to do, this one is the best version. So let's say, for example, I want to give the model a description, a long description of my house, and I want it to give me a 3-line description. Instead of like a whole paragraph, I wanted to give me a 3-line description. So what I would do is that in the input, I would give it, for example, the 2-paragraph, for example, description of my house. And then in the output, I would give it a 3 lines description. This is to train it. So this is just for it to learn how I want it to phrase what I want, to give me what I want exactly. So let's look at an example, a set of examples. So you can find examples in this link here. It's called ai.google.dev/examples, and you will find all kinds of different examples. So let's say marketing description. Okay, not this one, no. Okay, this one is good too. So this leverages, give me 1 second. So this leverages the structured prompt version. As you can see, you can give it a name. So when you click on save, that's what it's going to ask you to do. And then here we give it like the task. You can usually actually don't fill this in, especially if I'm not sure what I want it exactly to do. But if you wanted to keep having the same behavior, it is best that you define. So for example, here we say, given an image of a product and its target audience, write an engaging marketing description. So what are we going to do? In the input, we're going to give it a product image. In the input, once again, another input like who the target audience is, so that it can adapt the text. And then in the output, so that means what we wanted to give us as output is the marketing description, as you can see here. So you can give a couple of examples. Here they give 2 examples. I recommend going for 10 examples as a start. And then if you really want to start seeing some good results, you might want to actually consider 500 examples. 10,000 is a good one if you're serious about whatever. I mean, 1,000, sorry, is a good start if you're serious about fine-tuning the model a specific way, for it to give you a specific result. So let's say, for example, let's see this example. So we give it a basketball, then target audience are athletes. Let's see the marketing description. As you can see here, it gives us a marketing description. So let's see what it gives. So get ready to take your game to the next level with this high quality basketball. Perfect for athletes of all skills. As you can see, it leverages the target audience. This ball is designed to provide optimal grip and control. Obviously, it is taken into consideration the things that athletes care about. Whether you're shooting hoops in the driveway or playing in a competitive league, this basketball will help you perform at your best. Very typical marketing pitch, right, of a product. So this was just a quick overview of what we have. Remember that when you're doing anything in Google AI Studio, it's like when you're writing in a Word document or on any kind of, doing any kind of changes, you always need to remember to save whatever you're working on. Let's say, for example, I really love what I'm doing here and I love the results and I want to code this, as an application. It's easy. You can just click get code and you can do this for all of them, all of the 3 forms I showed you. And then you have these different, versions, like you can use curl, JavaScript, Python, Android, Kotlin, or Swift. So practically you can just copy the code. And as you can see, it has everything that we have just done, but obviously into code format. Or you can open it in Colab for people who, working in the data field. So open it in Colab and you can test it and then you can wrap it as an API. So the only thing you will need to remember is that you need to uncomment this one. So you can install the library to call the AI model. And you will have to change this with your API key. How can you get the API key? Very simple. Just click on Get API Key. Okay. And then create an API key. So if you don't already have an existing project in Google Cloud, because this is related to Google Cloud, but no worries, you won't be charged anything. So for example, for me, I already have a bunch of them. So I'm just going to click, for example, on this one. And then you click on Create API Key in existing project. And obviously you wait, and then it's giving you the key. You copy this key and replace it in your project. All right, let's go back now and let me show you how we can use the chat prompt version so we can come up with the idea, right? Let's say, for example, I wanna participate in a hackathon. By the way, there is a Google AI hackathon that is going to finish like by May 3, 2024, 8 a.m. GMT +1. And let's say, for example, I want to participate in this hackathon. So what I'm going to do to help me come up with an idea is I'm going to copy all of this, like all of the description with everything it has, until the judging criteria, because this is an important information. I'm going to put it in a Word document. Let me find a Word document. Here we go. Here. Oh, sorry. Seems like it didn't copy. I didn't click on copy. Okay. Now it's fine. All right. Let me change the name of this document. Cool. And I'm going to click on File, Download, and then get the PDF version of this. And after I get the PDF version, I'm going to go back to the chat platform. Here we go. Let me change its name. Let's say, for example, Get Idea. You can name it anything you want. Okay, cool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to load that document. So File, Upload. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this so I can restrain, so I can actually restrain what I want to come up with. I mean, I want to come up with an idea. The more specific you are about what you want to get, the easier you will be able to, come up with an answer that is going to satisfy you. Okay, let me just find. All right, seems like okay. Let me go back to download that PDF. Seems like I lost the one I had. All right, here it is. I downloaded it. Now, here I go. Here it is. I upload the file. Remember, you can ask it directly what you want, to help you come up with an idea. But I just wanted to put it in context so you can leverage it as well. Especially that hackathons are a great way to validate your idea by investors or people that are going to give you, the reward. That is the prize. It's a great way to validate a startup idea if you have one, or any kind of idea you want to develop. And it's also a great way to get your, some kind of money to start whatever you want to start, or to work with what we want to work, or just to get money for the heck of it. So here is the description of the whole hackathon. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to use this prompt. So here, the prompt basically is just a very simple request where I'm being very specific around what I want from the AI model to help me do, for it to help me get an idea. And for that idea not to be generic, I need to be very specific about what I want, what I can do, and only what I, as Sara Ateif, can actually, kind of like do. Because if you're obviously participating in a hackathon, if you're coming up with an idea, you're not the only one who has thought about that idea. So the only difference between you and the rest of the world is your experience as a human being, your environment, the problems only you face, perhaps, and the way you're thinking. So we better leverage all of that when we want to come up with an idea that we can leverage. So let's just see. This is obviously just an example prompt. You can shape it however you deem fit. Creativity, as in you thinking out of the box on what you can do, is what is going to make you different from the rest of everyone. So let's see this one. So this is like the format. So I am name. I joined the name of hackathon. And I aim to what I want to develop. I care about what matters to you, what you want to see happen in the world. I am describe what you do. I code mostly using, well, describe the programming language and any tools or frameworks you know. And then obviously, when you're participating in a hackathon, your goal is to win. So I wish to win the hackathon. So based on the information provided in the PDF about the hackathon, I want you to suggest ideas on what I could build and tell me the pros and cons, chances of my success, and requirements on what is needed for me to win first place. You can be even more creative around, I don't know, you can ask it about the budget needed to make this happen. You can ask it about the team members that you need to have. Although I do like, if you have team members with you in the hackathon, or if you have team members in a certain project, that obviously you can do this even if you're working on a company project. So if you have them with you, you can also include their descriptions, what they're good at, the stuff they know how to do, their qualities. So the more information you give to the AI model, which we call context, the better the result will be. So let's see my own example. And let's copy this example. Okay. Let me read it out for you. Sorry, let me just do a slideshow. So here's my version. Obviously, this could be refined further. So I'm Sara. I joined the Google AI Hackathon, the one I just showed you. And I aim to develop an application using AI to help women keep track of their hormonal health. So this is usually a very big issue for women, is their hormonal health. It causes them all kinds of headaches. So I care about helping women manage their hormonal health and reduce bloating and all the pain that comes with imbalance. So who am I? I'm a PhD candidate and Google developer expert in machine learning and Google PhD fellow. This is kind of like what makes me not unique, but what can help me come up with a good solution, or this actually kind of sets the tone of what type of thing I can develop. Because let's say, for example, if I have never developed an AI application, the ideas provided for the hackathon might be more, kind of directed towards things I'm good at. So obviously I can leverage everything I have to win. So I code mostly using Python and have played around with Gemini chat interface in Google AI Studio. So this will tell the model not to give me, not to give me, for example, suggestions to develop applications using JavaScript or something like that. So I wish to win the hackathon and then, all of that jazz. Let's go back to our Google AI Studio. Remember the PDF we loaded? Let's give it this and see what's going to happen. Let's figure out all the crazy, amazing ideas it's going to give us. This is Gemini 1.5 Pro. Obviously, you can change this, giving us, listing all of the ideas based on all the criteria we provided. Remember, if you want something specific, you just need to, tell it to the model. Just write it. So let's see what it came up with. So it provided us with 3 ideas. And it even provided us requirements for women in first place and how we can leverage our expertise, which is super cool. Let's check out the first idea and then the last one. So AI-powered symptom tracker and cycle predictor. What does it do? It's going to be an app that allows users to log their symptoms, moods, and menstrual cycle data using Gemini's ability to analyze patterns and trends. It could predict upcoming hormonal fluctuations, potential PMS symptoms, and ovulation windows. So what are the pros, which means, what are the good sides of us developing these applications, and what are the bad sides of it? Let's say, bad sides or constraints. So pros, high user engagement potential. So if we develop this app, there are going to be people who are going to be using it because obviously lots of women suffer from these problems. It addresses a common need for women. All women suffer from them at most almost more than 90%. Can be personalized based on individual data, which obviously why we use AI to personalize whatever we're doing. The cons. It requires a large user base for accurate predictions. Yoo-hoo! The problem with all ML algorithms or any kind of AI-based solutions. We need data and we need lots of it. May not be suitable for women with irregular cycles or hormonal disorders. So this won't work for the type of this specific type of people, but that's not really a problem to us. So success potential is moderate to high. So if it's a good success potential as a start. So we can focus on user experience and data privacy to stand out. User experience is something we can do, but data privacy for a hackathon, that's not going to be very interestingly easy to do. So the second one is personalized diet and exercise recommendations. There are lots of applications out there already doing this, so let's skip it. Let's see mental health and well-being support. Interesting. Let's check this out. So this app would focus on the mental and emotional aspects of hormonal fluctuations. Using Gemini's natural language processing capabilities, this is one of the requirements of the hackathon is to use Gemini, Google AI Studio, and Vertex AI. One of them, or all of them. So it's cool that it is mentioned in the functionality. So it could offer personalized support through chatbots, mood tracking, and mindfulness exercises. Chatbots right now with generative AI, it's cool. We can quite quickly cook this app, especially for a hackathon. Mood tracking, well, we can just ask the users to fill in how they're feeling today, or let them speak with the chatbot and do some kind of sentiment analysis. And then mindfulness exercises. Well, there are a bunch of them on the internet. We can definitely cook something up, or even just request Gemini to propose some of them. So what are the pros of this idea? It addresses an often overlooked aspect of hormonal health, which is true, the mental health and well-being support. Because usually most of the issues that we have in our life comes from our head, sadly. Potential for integration with mental health resources, which is really cool. We can even, pitch this to, I don't know, to therapists and all of that. So cons, it requires sensitivity and ethical considerations for mental health support. True, we could get into kind of a problem if the AI suggests something that might endanger the user's health. Competition from existing mental health apps, definitely. Especially these days, there are lots of emerging mental health applications. But we can twist this in our way. I don't know if we're in the MENA region, there aren't really much health applications in the Arabic language or in our own mother tongue language. So we could develop something specifically just for that. Or we can tackle something that usually people don't talk much about, especially when it comes to women's health. It's like kind of a taboo in kind of like Arabic-based regions. So success potential, it's moderate, focus on a niche within the mental health space, and ensure responsible AI practices. Well, these are things that we can do, right? So let's see what are the requirements for us to win. So we need to come up with an innovative and impactful idea. We need technical excellence, demonstrate strong coding skills and expertise in utilizing Google AI tools and Gemini API, user experience, business potential. So we need to articulate the potential value proposition of our application for users, healthcare providers, or anyone who we want to partner with. The community impact. We need to highlight the positive impact our application or idea might have on women's health and well-being, seen as they are the target here. We need to do a compelling presentation. We need to, address ethical consideration and ensure data privacy and security, seen as this is like the concerns for almost everyone these days. Leverage your expertise in Python and Google AI tools and consider the following additional tips. So explore the Gemini API cookbook, the one I showed you just now with the examples. There's another one. that I'm going to share with you. Utilize Google AI Studio, the one we're using right now, so we can do some, prototyping, focus on data privacy and security, collaborate with experts, get feedback. So this is a great start, right? So just from talking to the AI, we have three potentially very good ideas. Some of them are very heavily explored, some of them are not. Obviously, the decision comes back to the human being, which are obviously us, to kind of leverage what type of solution we want to build. Heck, we could even mix all three of them, like the good aspects from all three of them, and come up with an interesting idea. And we can actually even ask Gemini to do that for us. So let me ask it to do that for us. So can you come up with an idea that leverages all three ideas, and let me add a constraint, and that can be developed as an MVP in less than a week. So this is a constraint I'm giving to the model, the fact that I want it to be developed in less than a week. Let's see what is going to, provide us as a suggestion. As you can see here, it's providing us with like the core features we should focus on, the development focus, technology we could use, and obviously what we can add as future perspective. So, all right, let's see what is given us. So it's called Holistic Hormonal Health Assistant. Pretty cool. So it would combine elements of the three previous ideas, all right, to provide a comprehensive and personalized experience for managing hormonal health. So due to the time constraint, the initial focus will be on core functionalities, leaving room for future expansion. So what are these core functionalities? So we have symptom and cycle tracking. We have personalized recommendations, that is like around nutrition, exercise, and well-being. MVP development focus, we would prioritize essential features like building the symptom tracking, cycle prediction, personalized recommendation systems. We could use existing resources like leveraging pre-trained Gemini models and available data sets, simple and intuitive UI. Perhaps we can just use Streamlit to cook all of this up. So the technology stack would be something like Gemini API, Python, Flutter, or React Native, and then Firebase. For Flutter or React Native, we can. For Firebase, we can use it. It's a pretty cool, very quick database that we can database system that we can use for storage, authentication, and hosting. But for Flutter or React Native, I would prefer to just use Streamlit as it's way quicker. And if it's even given us suggestions on how we can further expand the idea. This is a pretty good start, right? So let's go back now to the presentation. Just for me to share with you the resources. So this is like the Gemini API cookbook, and this one is the one I showed you it has all kinds of different ideas that you can explore and see how you can leverage to develop your own applications or anything actually that you can think of to use AI with. But let's check out this API cookbook quite quickly. So as you can see here, they give you examples on how you can use it with different official SDKs. I'm talking about the API REST, the Gemini API, which is a REST API. There is even a forum and there are examples. So let's check out the examples they're providing. So as you can see here, there's the agents function calling, but it's actually all of these, I believe you can find them. Some of them you can find them in the other examples, and some of them are obviously here because they are code. So if you access it, they give you the Google Colab. They even give you step-by-step process on how you can leverage all of this, the model, so you can get what you need. And it's very specific. And they give you like a bunch of other examples. So there are quick starts, for example, around like how you can use the audio library, or the authentication. There's also embeddings. There is, JSON model, function calling, safety, streaming, tuning, how you can also call the Gemini on videos for processing. So they're giving you all kinds of examples to leverage and learn from. That was it for me. Let me know if you have any questions. No questions? Well, if you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere that you can find me. Just copy paste my name as it is, Sara Ateif, and then you can find me on social media. Reach out whenever, wherever, about anything that you have on your mind related to AI, business, or anything like that. You are welcome, Kautar. It was my pleasure.